Hi YouTube, it's Sean. As promised, I'm just going to go over all the parts that make the stilts for my robot suit for DRAGONCON 2015. We got a circular saw. Circular saw was used to cut out the notch for this piece of wood. It's a 6-inch long notch and 2 inches wide. At the metal leg brace frame is going to attach to. You're going to need a jigsaw. The jigsaw was used to cut out the plates for the shoes, which you can see here. I used a power drill because I need it for really good torque and everything. So I'm driving 1 3/4 inch screws through 2 pieces of wood and rubber. In the case of the shoes, you're going to need 1 inch wood screws as well. I would go with the 50 count or 100. This came in 100, so I had to get 100 and 1 inch. I definitely get the 50 count of the 1 3/4 inch. The reason being is you're going to run into stripping screws. I'm going to emphasize on getting the right bit for these screws, because I had one I thought was pretty tight, but then when I started getting to like 1 inch through the wood, sometimes the torque on the wood going to that depth, I come to find out that that bit just started stripping it, and it was a pain to back those out and redo them. I moved on to a better head, and then it was just like butter. You're going to need washers that fit those screws. I'll show you where we're going to need those. I use the heat gun. The heat gun was used into flexing the PVC pipe leg couplings, so they would better fit my leg. Alright, so the wood pieces involved, you need 2, they all came from 1 2x4, so 2 1.5 length pieces and 4 1-foot length pieces, depending on what the size of your feet are, and how wide you're going to have in your costume, get stuff aside. I had gloves to hold the PVC pipe and vice grips so I could manipulate. I had it in a vice. I hit the center of it with the heat gun and just pulled it apart so they got to the width, took the heat off of it, let it cool down, and it stayed exactly where I needed to go. I got a sanding block. Sanding block is for getting off all those burrs and rough edges and stuff so everything sits nice and flat and flush. And you're going to need a T-square for measuring and also lining up everything. So I got the original, it's right here. This is what was in the first video. This is the metal frame for the leg brace. It is a corner piece you can buy at Home Depot in a 4-foot length, and it's only about $5. And this is where you're going to need those washers, because the screws will actually go through these holes, and so you need something that sits there and widens that gap for you. So you're going to need those washers. I cut a hole in the top of the shoe here so I can put a screw with a washer and anchor it straight into the bottom. Now when I build these, I'm going to be gluing the shoes to the wood, but then I'm also going to be anchoring it, so everything's going to be nice and tight. Also, mine has some articulation to it. I wanted a toe that actually bends and flexes, so I actually put in a hinge, normal door hinge. They were about $3 at Home Depot. I have them laying around, and so I have some have a flexible toe and some articulation there. So next, I'm going to be moving on to the assembly process, And with hot glue gun, I was going to use wood glue, but that takes too long to dry, and I'm going to be using the hot glue gun later on, so might as well use the resources I have. So moving on to the assembly. Okay, I've got everything marked now, and I've kind of like put it all together. I'll take it apart, show what I did here. Alright, so I've marked a 3/4 of an inch perimeter off. This is where my EVA foam is going to attach to the wood. Depending on the width of the type of EVA foam that you have, you can make it smaller. I wanted to give myself some room for error, so I give myself a pretty wide berth there. So measure out how your foam is going to attach to the wood. All this is pertinent to my design. Whatever you attempt, other than this design, it's going to be different. But because I'm going to have the toes built into it on a hinge, I went ahead and marked the hinge where it's going to go, and I gave it some room for error as well. Give her play. Then I marked down where the foot is going to be vertical. And then I just pretty much traced it out. This is where I want my foot to be. Now, it's not centered in the middle because the reason being is you have to stand at a wider stance if you're going to put your foot in the middle. So it's best to get it as far to the inside as possible, so you have a lesser stance and you have more mobility, because the wider your stance, the cloppier you're going to sit there and take each step. You'll have a better stride if you have it to the center and then build everything to the outside. So that's why it's not in the center. I also made my center marks where my 2x4s are going to rest, and brought those lines to the tops, and I marked X's in it. That's where my screws are going to go in the top. I also marked on the bottom where my 2x4s are going to seat. I put it out in nice big black markers so everybody can see. Alright. Now, every piece of wood is going to be different. It's going to have bends, it's going to have warps. The cut wasn't made exactly perfect. That's why every section that I have says left, right, this piece going down. This is going to be the front, because I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the video. Alright, so I marked that board as going to be in my front. This board is going to be in the back. Have it nice and centered there, and it's moving out a little bit, but it's nice and flat, and that's what I want. I want that stability. Instead of trying to make it straight and then have it, have that little gap in there, I want it flush and as flat as possible. So keep that in mind. Whenever you're building these, you're going to have imperfect cuts. So see everything that you want and mark that this end goes down, this goes to the front, this one goes to the back. Then I just lightly put this right where it's supposed to go without moving the 2x4s, and that's where it's going to seat, instead of trying to bring those pieces together and then anchor it down, and then everything's going to be a little shifty. I want everything to be a stable platform. Bam. So I've made all my marks. Now on to gluing it all together. I got my glue gun. I made all my marks using T-square. I first drew everything out with a mechanical pencil, and then when I got all my lines set, I went and used a marker. so I know where everything is supposed to be, and I wanted those lines to show up on this video. So now I'm going to go ahead and then just going to glue all this down. Now I got this heat gun for like $8 at Walmart, and this is my first time ever using a glue gun. So forgive me if I'm not doing this right per what anybody else has seen or done. I'm thinking, it doesn't matter how much I go over on this, the more the merrier. Alright, so I got that section done. And I'll get this right down the center. Sure all my lines are, everything's within the lines. Alright, that stuff says it takes like 20 seconds to dry. So now the heat gun cost me like under $10. I think I bought this a while back and never used it. I got this. These are, I can't even remember how much these cost, but both of these items I got at Walmart, and I think it was under $15 for everything. Now this is a multi-temp. It's been suggested to other videos. Do not use the low temp glue on your EVA foam. So I'm going to be getting the high temp, not this multi-temp stuff, so I'm going to get the high temp whenever I'm starting to work with foam. Reason being is when it starts getting hot in that suit, or you leave it in your car, the low temp actually starts to congeal again and things start coming apart. And I do not want to run into that. Alright, so, a lot of glue here. Sign, back, front, lines of this line. Bam. Now not nice and hard. Alright. So I'm going to put glue on this piece here. I didn't realize this cord was so darn short. I'm going to put glue on this piece. And I see where my lines are. Now I'm already seeing some inconsistencies in putting this together. This is down nice and firm. This actually is too far back compared to what it's supposed to be. But you know what? That glue is already set. Wow. Yeah, so it is not coming apart. So everything is now changed. Now, that kind of stuff is going to happen. Now, based on my design, the feet come up, and then the leg will, come out about this far. So I'm still good, even if this, this hangs in this area. And one of the ways you can tell if it's in your area or not is you can use your T-square, lay it nice and flat, follow the inside of that line, and raise it up. And as you can see, it's in there. But like I said, it's going to go up about 6 to 7 inches and then come out, so I'm going to be clearing that. Same thing here in the front. So if you ever want to sit there, make sure that certain pieces aren't in that little area because it's going to go straight up and down. But based on maybe your design, you just line this up right here, get nice and flat, rotate it up. As you can see, that all clears it. It's not in my way at all. All right, so I've got that one all marked out and put together. Now you'll just do the exact same thing for the other one. As you can see, I've got screws here, marked for here and here. Also in this section for the back of the foot. And you're going to also want to use the same technique that you get this over here, like I got here, so you can put it in the bottom. Now remember, in the bottom, you got to countersink those, screw heads, so they, they're not sticking out at all. Now I've also bought, a rubber mat that I'm going to be cutting down and putting it on the bottom of this. So even if I did have a little bit, I got the rubber. You can use rubber or not. I got some pretty thick stuff, and it's going to be going on the bottom. But my suggestion to you is, use the same technique as I drew out for the top and mark that to get on the bottom, so you can sit there and have those screws perfectly in place and in line. And as you can see, there's a little rocking there because this bottom piece had a warp in it, and so does that one. Because it came off from the same piece of wood. So keep these things in mind. That is, man, I'd almost say, forgo the screws. But no, I'm gonna put screws in there. Now, you're gonna put one screw in the ankle for the shoe. So you want the screws to be on the outside, because when you sink this in, if it starts to hit the 2x4 underneath, you don't want it running into a screw. So get your screws on the outside, have one securing that. I'm going to be using the hot glue to glue this shoe on there, but I'm also going to put one screw. The same thing is for the toe. I'm going to be cutting out a hole in it, and then the toe is going to be screwed straight down, and it's going to go somewhere around in here. So I'm going to mark and assemble the other one, and then I'm going to put screws all in this, and then we'll move to adjusting and the leg brace to make sure that it's a perfect fit and exactly aligned. And so I will get back to you after I set up the other one and put in all the screws.